Okay, I want to talk today about some of the details of installing a linear drain over a concrete existing floor and using Redgard as the primary sealing material to make it watertight. Okay, so what we have is we have an existing foundation, and out of the foundation I have this 2-inch drain pipe coming out. I have a flange and I have a linear drain. Okay, so what I did is I kind of make a little diagram here. Let's zoom in up on the diagram, see what we got here. Okay, so as the diagram shows, we have an existing concrete foundation. That's that line. We have a pipe coming out, which I got to cut because currently the pipe, as you can see, it sticks out about 6 inches too high. Okay, I have a flange. There's my flange. I have my drain. This is the cutaway of the drain. So here's my linear drain right here. But I'm kind of showing you this side of the drain. Doesn't really make it that much difference. Okay, do you get the picture? Okay, so what we have to do is we have to cut this pipe so that the tile, which we'll eventually have, is not up too high. Again, this is not drawn to scale. This is just a sketch here. So what the basic things are, you have existing foundation, okay? That's concrete. Concrete is cement, rock, and sand. And we're gonna build what's called a pre-slope above here. Okay, now the pre-slope is what needs to be approximately 1/4 inch per foot slope. And on top of that pre-slope, we're going to put Redgard. On top of that Redgard, we're going to put another layer of the mixture. This mixture of 4-to-1 sand to cement, not concrete, sand to cement. You want it to be smooth. And then on top of that, we put our tile. Okay. So you can see you got to have all these components lined up. So in the end, your drain and your finished tile surface isn't too high. You don't want it, sticking 6 inches above the foundation, because then you got to step into it, and you got to make your curb higher than this tile by at least the drain height by at least 2 inches to meet code. You can cheat, I guess, a little bit if you want. So that would, if you don't measure the stuff out, you're going to end up with this 8-inch curb, which is just a total hassle to step over. Okay, so the way you do it is you take the flange, and you have to take your flange and you have to make some measurements, okay? So I measured this flange from this edge here, this edge here to here is 2.5 inches. But the pipe inserts about 3/4, okay? So looking at my diagram, I want this distance between the flange and my existing foundation. I only want it to be 1 inch or 3/4 inch. I don't want this stuff sticking up too far, because my drain is another 1.5 inches, and then I got tile on it. So I want this to be as close as possible to the existing foundation. Now you can't you can't make it touch, because then your pre-slope doesn't have any meat to it. You should probably at least have 1 inch as the minimum distance that you ever put down this pre-slope. Okay, so what we're going to do, so I measured it all out, so I know I'm going to have to cut this pipe about 1 inch below grade in order to get to my flange about 1 inch above, and then my drain's going to stick out, it's about 1.5 inches, and that's where I'll have the tile meet. So again, you want to just do all these preliminary measurements so that, again, you don't have this drain just sticking way high up. And the drain can go up, but it can't go down. I mean, there's just, there's an adjustable, most of these have an adjustable insert here that can help you raise and lower the drain, but it goes up, you can't go down. So try to figure out how low you can make it. And again, you don't need to know your exact tile height yet for this step, but again, you want to get, my goal is to get this flange about 3/4 to 1 inch above the existing surface right here, and it'll slope out 1/4 inch per foot going out. Okay, so what I did is I marked my pipe with blue tape. I know where I'm going to cut it. And we're going to go ahead and cut the 2-inch pipe and put in the flange. Okay, I cut my drain. Here's my drain I cut off. Hey, one thing I want to caution, always have lids on top of drain pipes and don't have any stuff around the area that can fall in the drain, because Murphy's Law is in full effect. If it can fall in, it will. And again, if it falls in this drain, this is a tough drain to get stuff out, because remember, there's a trap underneath there. And you know, you're gonna have to fish it out, so be real careful with that. Anyway, it ends up my drain height here is approximately, if I measure this, this edge is approximately 2.5 inches above the foundation. So that's going to leave me about 1 inch thickness of pre-slope and 1 inch on top. So I'm in the ballpark. If this top level is 2.5 inches, that means I need to be 2 inches higher on my final dam height. So that means the distance I'm going to have to step over to get into the shower is 4.5 inches. And to me, that's kind of that's a good number. I don't want to go too much higher than that. And again, you can't go too much lower, because then you got to make these distances of your pre-slope and your top coat a lot thinner, and we don't want to get too thin on that. So again, we're sitting here at about 2.5 inches above grade, and again, my tile will be just slightly higher than this level of the drain, maybe a 1/8 of an inch or so. I don't like when tile's a lot higher. So, okay, we're good to go. We're going on to the next step. Okay, I have the flange glued in. So the flange is done. Again, the height of the flange lip, the flange lip to the base is about 1 inch. So I'll be building up my pre-slope. It'll come down to 1 inch here. I have about 4 feet to go. So it'll get up as high as about 2 feet at the other end, because it's a 1/4 inch per foot, 4 feet. That's another inch, so it'll be 2 inches. Right now I'm building my dam. Here's my dam. I'm using pressure treated lumber, gluing it down. Fortunately, I remembered when I poured the cement to make a guide of where I can drill. Because again, when I had these holes in this slab here, I had to reconstruct it, and I put in rebar, and there's pipes and all that kind of stuff. So again, if you remember, make yourself a guide so you know where you can drill holes, and where there's rebar in the way, you don't want to drill holes there, and then it just makes it a lot easier. Okay, let's build. We're going to cut these bolts off the top and get another layer of wood on top of here, build up my dam, and then we're ready for the pre-slope. Okay, one little detail. I used 3/8 by 5 inch. These are Simpson strong ties. Got these at Home Depot, about $2 each. That's what I used, and glued it down with liquid nails. Okay, I completed bolting down the pressure treated lumber to the existing concrete slab, and then I made another piece of wood to help build up my dam. Drilled this out, added some glue, going to put that on top. And last little detail I always try to mark where bolts were. That's those black, you can see that I have black lines there. Because again, when I put this all together, I might put some glass door or something. And it's always good to know where the bolts are. So, you know, Murphy's Law is in full effect. If you go to put in a screw and you needed to go through a couple layers of wood, you'll hit something that already exists there unless you know where it is. So I always keep track of stuff. I got this one pipe, this one vent pipe at the end. That'll be part of the dam, so nobody will even see that. I didn't want to shrink the bathroom or build a ground level soffit or any kind of soffit. I just it worked out that it's just going to be part of the dam. Okay, let's get the dam built, and then we'll be ready to do my pre-slope. Okay, we're ready to do the pre-slope. Again, I use a mixture of cement to sand, 4 parts sand to 1 part cement by weight, not volume, but by weight. And fortunately, both these bags are essentially 50 pounds. I use one of these tubs here. Remember, always mix it before you add the water. Makes it a lot easier. So just that way you get a nice consistency of everything's mixed. So again, we use a shovel and a hoe to help mix it up. We come over here. Here in my area, I got my dam all built up. I got Dura rock on the other side. That's all squared away. Level. That's a 1/4 inch per foot. You can't see, but in the center, I split the bubble splits the line there. Again, that signifies a 1/4 inch per foot, at least on my level. And of course, I verified it on level surface. You take a level surface, add a shim, that equals a 1/4 inch per foot, and then you'll know where your level has to be to get a 1/4 inch per foot. Okay, we're ready to do the pre-slope. We're going to add the pre-slope in here. And I got this board in here to help me know exact level to do with a screed. Screed's just a long stick that'll just help me smooth everything out a little bit. Okay, ready to do the pre-slope. Okay, the pre-slope is done. Everything drains to this drain or falls to that drain at about a 1/4 inch per foot. So a little bit more cleanup. I'm going to wait at least 48 hours, let it dry before I do anything else, put any Redgard or start working that side of things. And again, got to clean up a little bit more over here. Just clean up. And okay, so we're done with the pre-slope. Again, everything in this level slopes toward or falls toward that drain right there at approximately a 1/4 inch per foot. It's not at the end of the world if you have a low spot. We can patch in the low spots, and it's not the end of the world if you had a high spot. We could grind down the high spots a little bit, but in general you don't want to have to grind or fill. Should be able to get this pretty close. Okay, my pre-slope is dried, and I have my levels here, just double checking pre-slope. Everything looks good, at least a 1/4 inch fall toward the drain. Put the drain in there just temporarily, just make sure everything looks good. And I'm going to have to get this height of the drain versus the height of the dam. Needs to be finished levels about 2 inches above. So I do have to work and make my dam a little bit higher. But other than that, looks good. We're going to bring the Redgard down to this flange now. Paint the walls, cut most of the walls in. And exciting picture there. Okay. Anyway, pre-slope is done. Next task is Redgard with fiber tape. Okay, I sort of jumped the gun a little bit on using the Redgard first. Okay, the first thing I wanted to use is this product called Speed Finish. And I use the Speed Finish to basically fill in all the cracks and grooves of the backer board. As you can see, I'm all the way done. And I filled in where the screw holes are also. So that was using my Speed Finish. And now I'm ready to continue on with the Redgard. I jumped the gun and put a coat down and forgot about sealing everything off. Again, this makes a nice firm base by filling in these cracks and everything with the speed set. For your next step with the Redgard and the fiberglass tape. I built up my dam here also. So I'm going to end up being about 4.5 inches below surface level, which is good. That's the finished height, so you don't have this huge step going up. And I will have 2 inches above my drain. And okay, other than that, everything's rolling along. So let everything dry, and it's off to Redgarding the entire enclosure. Okay, one thing I forgot to give a detail on was this dam construction. My dam construction was as follows. I have a 2x4 pressure treated lumber on the bottom. On top of that, 2x4 Douglas fir. Then I got some shims. and I'll talk about that in a second. And then I got 1/2 inch ply and then my backer board. And that gives me about 4.5 inches up, which will get this finished height with the tile 2 inches above the drain height. So again, that's the flange over there. You have to put the drain in there, and the top of the drain to the top of the finished dam height has to be 2 inches. And then you want a little bit of fall on your dam from here to the pan. And the way I do that is I use these shims. And I'm not sure if they're 1/4 inch per foot, but they're probably really, the more I think about it, they're probably just 1/4 inch per foot. So you get a nice standard there you're following. And I shim it all the way along here underneath the wood. And again, now all I do is just put my tile on top, and I get a 1/4 inch per foot. I don't have to muck around with the tile of putting more mortar on one side than the other. I just put a even coat of mortar on here, or tile grout or tile mortar, and then put the tile down, and then I got a nice slope going from the outside edge toward the shower pan, which any water hit on here will tend to go to the pan. Okay, that was one of the dam details. Okay, I got my first coat of Redgard in there, and now I'm ready to put in this fabric in all the joints. Pretty straightforward, a lot of videos on it. Here's what I'm using. Let's see if we can see that. X-Fasten membrane fabric, waterproof. Got it on Amazon. About 20 bucks, I forget. So, okay, let's get. We're going to do all the base corners. Anywhere there's a corner or a joint, we're putting down fabric. That's the deal. Okay, I want to give you my technique for Redgarding the drain. There's the drain out there with no lid or anything. First, what I'll do is I'll paint Redgard over this. Okay, then immediately I'll put down 2 of these fiberglass cloths on top of it, in an X fashion, one this way and one this way. So 2 of those, and then I'll paint these up on the surface, and that'll make a total watertight seal to the drain. And then we'll come back later and cut a hole. One great thing about doing this technique is if I put this over the drain, I actually now have a total watertight encapsulation of everything. Again, I just put another layer of coat of Redgard everywhere. It's hard to see. Okay. Anyway, that's how I do the initial drain. 2 layers of fiberglass cloth over completely over the drain. Okay, I'm up to the step of testing my shower pan with water in it. Again, I covered up the drain here with fiberglass tape, and then it's all sealed with Redgard. It does turn a little bit pink when you put the water in there overnight. This has been in here overnight, where there's actually water in here. It's hard to see if I come here. Yeah, you can see there's water. Anyway, so it's been in there for several hours, and this drain, this is where the drain's located, and that's covered with the fiberglass cloth and Redgard. And then once I'm all done, I'll just cut this hole in here, put the top flange back on top. That'll compress down onto the fiberglass tape Redgard, and so I'll get a real good connection. Okay, we're going to have this inspected today. Should go with no problems because we have no leaks in our shower pan. And again, nice continuous flow of the Redgard all the way up to virtually the ceiling, 8-foot ceiling, and makes a real, in my opinion, a real great watertight enclosure. Okay, let's get it inspected. Okay, I passed my inspection. So I cut a hole in where the drain goes, cut through the Redgard and the fiber tape. Use my wrench to loosen these bolts, kind of break through the Redgard. So now this will go right like this. Okay. Need to loosen these a little more. Okay, here we go. Flange is down. Okay, I'm double checking my dam height. Again, here's my dam right here. I got a piece of tile on top of that. So I basically take my drain, put a 2-inch block, and then just level over to here. And as long as this is higher, this is slightly higher, I'll have at least a 2-inch dam height from the drain to this. And again, here's the tile that I'm going to use, most likely, or something similar to that, and it passes. Okay, that's I double checked my dam height, at least 2 inches. Okay, let's just review where we're at. Again, I have this pre-slope already established at about 1/4 inch per foot, and when I opened up the drain, the water flowed really good, so everything looks great. So all I need to do is follow the contour of this pre-slope material, and in order to follow the contour, I'm just using these battens as sort of screed, I'll call them screed height indicators. So you put all the material in here, and then you screed to this height. And then on top of it, I'm using this pattern, or this tile, as my tile. So my technique is you take the height that you want for the base, plus the tile you're going to put in, and make it exactly the height of the drain. Because what will happen is when you put these tiles in, you're going to put some mortar behind these tiles, so there'll be maybe 1/8 of an inch. So you'll end up with the height of this tile being like 1/8 of an inch above the drain. You want a little bit above the drain. You don't want no 1/4 inch or anything. So I think 1/8 of an inch is a good distance. So in order to get that all to work, you got to have the height, the dry height of the tile, plus the base material that we're going to put in here, equal the level of the drain, so that when I put these tiles in, they'll just be like 1/8 of an inch above the shower drain, and then we'll drop down into the shower drain. That's the technique I'm using. Okay, that's it. Okay, now to one of the more fun steps, which is basically mixing the deck mud. I'm using quick reet Portland cement and sand, but got both these at Home Depot. I'm using a 4-to-1 ratio, so that's 2 bags of sand, half a bag of Portland cement. Make sure you mix it first before you put any water in. It makes it a lot easier. So got to mix these all together, and I can get about 2 bags, about 100 pounds of the sand in this small trough. Kind of a hassle mixing it, but okay, it's not too bad. Okay. Okay, I'm almost set to put on my final coat of deck mud, and I just again I have these I call them battens, and there's my trowel so I can screed to the right level. Again, we've got a real good slope down to our drain, 1/4 inch per foot, so everything's set. We got my level there to get my got a level over here available to get the drain nice and level. A couple pieces of tile. Again, we're going to get the tile level exactly equal to the level of the top of the drain. Okay. Okay, more or less done with my top level of deck mud. I have my level over there, and basically the drain is level. I also pre-cut these 2 little blocks of wood so that I know that I wouldn't have the drain relative to the wall crooked. So these two pieces of just 2 little pieces of 2x4 the same size. That way you don't get any cantering of the drain when viewed against the wall. So it's in there nice and straight. Everything's level. This is your basically last chance to get your slope down. Again, everything worked out real good because my pre-slope was real good. So all I needed to do is build this up about 1.5 inches and everything flows toward the drain. Again, you can always adjust a little bit after this, but it's a hassle because especially if you need to grind down. So then I have my small piece of tile that I took. Let's come down here. Ooh, let's get that out of there. Okay. And I basically take this piece of tile here and just run it around the drain and make sure that this is, again, the same height. This piece of tile is the same height as the drain top. Because again, we're going to put a little mortar on here. This will go about an eighth of an inch higher, and that way we'll flow right into our drain. And again, these are these pieces of wood I telling you about to keep the drain from not being crooked this way. Little minus. I pre-cut those. Okay, and almost completes it. And let's stop it here. Okay, we are basically done with all the preparation work before we do the tiling. I put in our second layer of deck mud. Again, relatively easy because my first layer of deck mud with my pre-slope had a nice slope toward the drain, 1/4 inch per foot. So then all I had to do was add this and then I did the Redgard, and then all I had to do was add this second layer of deck mud about 1.5 inches thick, so just keeping a nice constant slope toward the drain, 1/4 inch per foot, so we get a nice fall. Again, we made it so that the level of the deck mud to the height of the drain basically equals the tile that I'm going to put in. That way, when I use my tile mortar to put down the tile will be slightly higher, not super high. I hate when you have a huge lip from the tile to the drain. It'll probably be about 1/8 of an inch of the tile above the drain, and we'll get a nice flow into the drain. I had the level on there to basically make sure that my linear drain is level. Remember, it has to be level. I pre-cut these blocks of wood to keep the drain nice and square against the wall, so that this block of wood equals that block of wood, and they fit in here. And those were pre-cut, and I had those available when I was doing my second layer deck mud. And so everything looks great. I'll be ready to do my tile work. But again, this video is just not on tile work. It's not on tile work. It's on the setup to get to tile work. Okay, and this completes the video. Good luck in the project. It should go pretty smooth once you get to this stage. Oh, one thing I forgot. You still, if necessary, can adjust this height. But again, it is a hassle, because if you want to, you have to grind it down if you need to go lower, or that's the hard one, or you have to put something like speed finish on top to get a little bit higher. But it's doable. The issue is there's no way you really can, easy way you can tell the slope, because when you pour water on here, it's going to catch this lip of the drain. So you'll pull up you'll pull up water here. So you do have to use your levels just to make sure that you got a nice flow into the drain, but it should roll pretty good. Okay, that completes this video, and good luck.